Let's bring in staff writer for The New Yorker, Steve Coll. Steve's latest piece in The New Yorker is entitled Donald Trump, George Wallace, and the Influence of Losers. And he writes in part, quote, over the next 4 years, the post-Trump Republican Party will seek to consolidate the president's voters in its electoral campaigns, even if his influence is diminished. Some will try it Trump's way. The most worrying part of Trump's legacy is his no longer ambiguous disdain for elections and the Constitution. Out of an instinct for self-preservation, an attraction to authoritarianism, and a wounded ego, Trump has launched an absurdly inept but still frightening attempt to overturn the 2020 results by sheer force of will. And I would only say, Joe and Steve, that I think it's beyond an attraction to authoritarianism. I think he thinks he's there. Every part of Trump's behavior, he doesn't understand democracy, and he doesn't give a damn about it. He doesn't understand what's precious and beautiful and worth saving about it.
Well, he never has. He said that Article 2 of the Constitution has given him supreme power to do whatever he wants to do for as long as he's wanted to do. He's questioned the authority of the federal judiciary.
And look at these people showing up.
The federal judiciary has shown him in short course over the past 4 years actually who does still have power. But yeah, the influence that Steve's talking about is not just now, but what happens in the future. And Steve, as I was reading your article, you're exactly right. It's not what's happening now. It's what impact he's going to have 8 years from now. And I was actually thinking about Ross Perot and how Pat Buchanan's election in '92 impacted Ross Perot's election in '94, who impacted the Republican Party moving forward every bit as much as mainstream Republicanism did.
Yeah, I was listening to your conversation earlier, and in addition to being ecstatic that you were reading and promoting Joan Didion, which is always the solution to a complicated crisis like the one we're in.
Exactly.
I was thinking about how what's different, because, I think tracing all the way back to the 1960s is helpful. And I was struck by some of the parallels between George Wallace's unsuccessful campaign in 1968 and its influence on the Republican Party's Southern strategy afterwards. And you're right to mention Perot and the rise of a certain kind of nationalist populism during the 1990s. But when you ask what's different now, obviously it's 50 years on from the 60s, it's a different country. I wonder if the role of disinformation and the way our media distributes it through social media platforms and just the saturated media culture that we're in doesn't create a different kind of danger than the one Joan Didion observed in San Francisco in '67 and '68. This is the part I can't really get my head around. What is the half-life of these lies, this propaganda machine? And, it is a structure. We have a research center at Columbia that looks at disinformation, and one of its findings this year was that hundreds and hundreds of local news sites have been created by political groups masquerading as your local news site, but pouring out the kinds of messaging that you heard on the stage in Georgia from the president over the weekend. So I think we have to be aware that there are some things that are disturbingly continuous in American politics, but there's some new features of our public square that I don't really myself feel like I've got a grip on.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.